Hi everyone, SoulSuper17 here. Let me first, like usual, do not own a picture, non-paid video. Alright, so it's basically 2 something, well, almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm working in the mornings now. Summer changes it to where, changed my work schedule where I'm in the morning, so I'm gonna, be like afternoons. I have basically the whole entire day to myself, and then I'll have to sleep at 8. I may be up for some of those days where I am, well, where I basically would, be dead tired and not make a video. But at least in this case, when I get home, it's not early in the morning, and I don't feel like I need sleep. So summer, videos are gonna be made, and hopefully not just by weekends. Yeah. This one, if you guys wonder what about the first what if I made for this kind of series, why did I made it? It just popped into my head, and I was like, hey, why not? Let's see where I can go. Let's see how much I can screw some things over. I did kind of mess up something, so I wanted to get something else when I was at Signal Academy. So I'm going to head back in there and get something. Besides Yang's basically prototype gauntlet shotguns, like I like to call them. And then Crow's basically scythe sword gun, basically. There's something else I will have to get. So yeah, let's get this thing started. So, yesterday night, I was again tired and I nearly fell asleep. Basically, even after I made the video, so. Basically I found a place. I was basically even having trouble describing Crow's weapon or, losing track, but I just kept on going because I was nearly done. Well, not where I wanted, actually, but still, I knew I could get done, so, yeah. So basically Crow's weapon and the materials in it, basically I can probably also enhance it, I wanted to say, making my own, but, okay, so, okay, yeah. So we basically now are just get to the place I said like reasonable, like I had money, but I didn't. I only had basically an abandoned building to find. So yeah, I'm in an abandoned building sleeping. So we'll start off on the day when I wake up. Well, it was the next day where Yang, Blake, Weiss, Ruby, John, Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora, and everyone else is taking their entrance exams, basically. So yeah. So let's get this thing started. This is part 2. Alright. So I woke up. It's basically in the morning, and I'm get out my scroll and I look at the time and it's 6 in the morning. I'm up. I can't believe I actually fell asleep. I usually would have been up all night. Whatever. Let's just get up. As I'm getting up, I'm looking because I hear something fell on the ground, and I look, and what I see is a book, and I pick it up, and basically then I look at basically what it says. The history of dust. Wait, how am I even reading this? Oh, wait, I was transported here, right. I should have woke up and says, wait a minute, this ain't my room. But honestly, I think that'll be a cliche thing to say. So basically, let me think. If basically I was transported here by the God of Light, then that means basically he also probably gave me the ability to at least read the language and speak it. As they say, I get my scroll and lo and behold, a contact number. I'm like, did he really really give me a contact number for him? And I say, hit it. And after only probably like 2 rings, he picks up and he goes, hello? I'm like, hi. Look, I'm able to read the language, I just realized, and I was, I was wondering, did you do anything by chance? Which, in truth, he goes, well, yes, I did. You see, you usually basically make it where some way or some form, basically, you will get the language in your isekai what if, so I thought, why not do exactly the same thing? I'm like, okay, huh. So it's when you were changing my body into younger animated magic. He goes, yes, I kind of realized you had no way of basically reading it. And besides, since you don't get none of the memory technique, well, not the memory technique, I mean, the memory absorption of someone else, you won't really be able to, gain the knowledge. So, I gave you basically the ability to read and speak the language. You are welcome. And I'm just thinking to myself, huh, yeah, I forgot about that for a minute. And then I would basically say out loud, he was like, yeah, thanks. Anyways, should I know anything else? Like, anything at all? He goes, yes, currently I basically have a list of basically girls that you could have potentially be with. And I'm just, like, silent. And then I literally say to him, I told you already, I don't need anybody. Besides, I'm a Grimm. No one's gonna love a half Grimm. He was like, kid, do not worry. You are perfectly fine. Besides, no one's going to judge you after you explain the story. And just like, I'm gonna hang up now. Stop trying to be a matchmaker with me, God of Light. And I hang up. The God of Light in his where he is basically chuckling. And I'm basically bad with me. I just say, I am dealing with a god that basically became a human in a sense in my world. I decided, hey, I'm gonna play matchmaker with this person now. Why does this happen to me? Why does life hate me? You know what? Just deal with it. And I need to get some food. You have to steal. Maybe. So, first thing I do, I literally basically grab I open up the book and I start reading it again. But I do go and leave the building and such. And I decided to basically walk around a bit, see basically if anyone would try to mug me or not. And I basically would kind of realize my clothing looked a little bit differently than what I had on. You see, basically, I would have basically some type of sweatpants and a shirt I would have wore basically asleep. But here, when I was transferred into this world, I have basically a black shirt with a red, basically jacket over, on me. And then basically with pants is just basically blue jeans and basically boots on. So, I'm thinking to myself, just kind of realized I had this on. But since I have the prototype ability, technically this is my skin, maybe. As I kind of, grab the material and I go like, nope, not my skin. Interesting. Whatever. So, while basically reading the book and such, I would basically stumble upon, let's just say, not savory people. Because in the area I was at was an abandoned building, was not basically a good part of the city. So, some people basically come out of nowhere and, basically drag me into the alleyway and throw me to the ground while I basically had the book nearly fell in my hand. I caught it. I'm like, sighing relief. And then I look up and I see basically the people there. Some random people trying to mug me with their weapons. And I'm just looking at them, thinking to myself, should I eat their weapons? I mean, wouldn't be such a bad idea. Just scared the living crap out of them. Nah, I should just see where this goes. And basically, I then hear someone says, "Hey, give us all your money." And I'm looking at him like, I don't have no money. In my mind, I'm saying that to myself. And then I literally say that out loud, like, what makes you think I have money on me? Or money at all? He just basically looks at me and then points out everything I'm wearing. And I'm basically like, I just literally say, I recently became homeless. Do you have any money on you? One of them was like, of course we have money. Come on, guys, he's homeless. As basically the other one goes, nah, let's teach him a lesson. Besides, keep him quiet. And one was like, really? He's just a 16-year-old kid. Which I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna enjoy beating the living crap out of all of them. Yeah, let's see. So I slowly get up. I close the book. I put the book in the bag that I had on me. And I'm like this to them. I'm like, look, we could do this two ways. Y'all let me go, or I could beat the living crap out of all of you. And then I kind of realized to myself, I have no way of fighting style, so just basically a street brawl style, I guess. I'm gonna have to come up with my own fighting style and instincts in this world. Great, and everything I'm gonna have to learn how to fight. In a sense, basically, the one that wanted to basically, beat me up and basically make sure I don't tell no one. It's like, see, he's asking for it. He basically rushes forward and me. Basically kind of waiting, and I wanted to test my basically body's ability. So, when his fist gets nearly to me, I dodge, but also throw basically basically punch into his cheek. Basically send him flying towards one of them, and I'm like to myself, did I kill him? Note, because I basically a prototype, remember, I have all basically the abilities of prototype, besides some things are technically different. Since I'm made of magic, I don't have basically the ability to absorb memory. I can still shapeshift, change my form. Basically arms and everything, and I technically can affect people in the way basically the virus does. So I can't do that. I can do it differently, but it'll be painful. But since I'm also a Grim, basically this is kind of the bad thing, where, because of that one punch, and the dude's basically, probably trying to scream in pain, because Grim strength plus prototype strength, yeah, I nearly would have killed him. I did not know at first, but I didn't really go on full on, put all my effort into one punch. I put only basically probably at least, if it went like 50% was half strength, then I put like at least 60, and I'm like, oh crap, yeesh. Hey, I'm sorry about that. I never been in a fight before, so I don't know how to hold back when needed. As all of them basically now get out their weapons, knives, guns, which I'm looking at them like, yeah, I have no choice in the matter. So, basically, one of them says, get him, and it was not pretty for them. Basically, I just run forward and throw one punch, quick left jab, hit one of them, then basically kick him in the stomach, again get slashed, grab the wrist, twist his arm, breaking him, his right arm because he has a knife, jump away from another slash, land and dash forward and knee him, knee him in the gut, basically. He basically coughed out basically some saliva, basically grabbed the guy, throw him away, hits the wall, gets knocked out, guys with the gun. Yeah, I just have to run straight towards them, holding up basically my arms in front of my face, and that works. And when I get close to them, elbow jab to one of them, basically grab one and basically headbutt them, and yeah, they're knocked out. They had no semblance No aura. There weren't no hunters, just random thugs. Which I just sigh. I'm like, uh, well, uh, thanks for the money, guys. Jeez, I can't actually did this. So yeah, I start, taking their money. I made a good, basically, maybe, I don't know what's their money currency, so, give me a minute. Okay, I looked it up, and I know it's pronounced really weird, but it's, how I see it is Lien, so Lien? Or it's like a lion or something. So, but I'm just gonna say Li and N, so the N, basically currency. So, yeah, I basically found maybe from out all of them, I only probably made 150 the N basically, and I'm like, not bad. Should be able to help me out, at least get something to eat for breakfast. Then I kind of basically blink and I sigh. I'm like, I forgot to grab something at the Signal Academy. I saw something, but I was like, nope, I need to go. Well, this is gonna suck. So, I basically go to get breakfast. Find somewhere to eat, a diner or something. Or, well, restaurant. Or some cafe. And I will find a cafe, basically, after about a almost 50-minute walk. Go in, gain basically a bagel and stuff. Even basically had some coffee in the morning. And I'm basically thinking to myself, I should really ask them where's the nearest clothes store. I'm gonna basically go back to Signal and need to, well, wait, I have the signals. No, I figured that way when I left. Yeah. I did not mention it, but I forgot to mention it, so, anyways. Yes, I have to get a disguise. Great. Fun. So, basically, what I do is this. After eating, I basically, would go up to the counter and ask, excuse me, do you know where the nearest clothes store is? And they would tell me. I'm like, thanks. And, yeah, I would walk towards it. It takes me a good 30 minutes, and I go in and use the rest of the money I can to basically buy at least, well, different basically shirt and jacket. So I bought basically a black jacket with basically a gray shirt underneath. And I would have changed in, well, somewhere nearby. Because, one, I have physical shirts on me, and I'm basically, using my skin as the outfit prototype. You can, since you can change your shape, so that means, you can actually make clothing with your, basically, skin. So, yay. So I have basically clothing. But what I basically do is, I do absorb basically my clothing, that I would have on and change into that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, storage. I literally am in my own storage system. I just realized that. Huh. Cool. But now I'm thinking though, now I need a mask. What would work? As what I basically start thinking of, the first thing I would think of that would basically be work for me is, well, the mask from Code Vein. After basically you do a certain attack that basically absorbs basically blood. Basically something starts to come around their face when basically the eyes are glowing red, or you do a perfect parry and such, and you basically get more blood to do spells. Basically, that one. It looks like there's fangs or stuff, on it. So I'm, on the mask, so I'm basically all of a sudden would feel something appear, and I'm like, huh? get my phone and basically, go to the camera and see the code vein mask. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I have metals and I basically absorbed metal, scrap metal there. Wait. And then I basically would think of, well, basically using the scrap metal and make basically a dagger. And I would, come in out of my hand. And I'm, blinking. I'm like, oh, you had to be kidding me. And then it basically just goes back into my hand. I absorb it back in, and then I think of basically deconstructing it, and voila, it basically goes back into the scrap metal. And I'm like, yep, I basically chose a cheat code, in a sense. Wow. So I started thinking of this while basically in the alleyway, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm like this. Then I'm like, so wait. So since I basically can create my own weapons, origami, well, not origami, with basically Grim, does that mean, like, seriously, does that mean I can technically create weapons if I have the materials for it? He did give me basically all the weapons, I guess, blueprinting from God Eater, but, huh. If I have the metals and such and I can shape it, then I guess my prototype magic is the one that basically forges it by changing the magic of my body. Well, the magic of my very own cells and being. I guess. That's kind of unusual. Man, I really became something of a monster. Whatever. Let's just get back to signal. So after that, I basically had the mask go back into my body and such, and because I absorbed it, so I basically just leave the city and did what I exactly did last time, but I would remember basically how to get back to the whole tire storage and weapon area. Storage and basically weapon armory basically area. I would remember how to get there. So when I do basically get near it, I have basically the hood up or the jacket. Basically the mask comes on. Put the bag basically in a different area. Well, actually no, not a different area. Put the bag basically right where the tree is that I'm next to, and see basically. Well, I couldn't really see anything, but see basically the wall and such, and I just smirk and just run and jump over it basically. And since basically, I guess I did not realize they were on high alert, a silent alarm happens, and I don't know. But I do get to the storage area, and basically I look around, I'm like, okay, there was something I wanted, but I forgot to take. And I found basically a prototype for a sickle and chain. But then, well, I see the sickle basically with schematics, and it can turn into a freaking gun, pistol-wise. So, I take it. Smirking at it. Well, basically when I absorb it and such, some people come in, and I'm like, silent alarm. This means there's huntsmen here. So, I hear someone says, "What are you doing here?" I say nothing. But I basically just sigh and, and kind of just basically sometimes think of basically my emotion makes my anger, like my anger basically gives me the grim look. But if I basically just focus on just being irritated and annoyed and a little bit angry, then my eyes would just glow red instead of basically being brown. So, one of them says, "Answer us," as I would turn around, and they would see, basically, a mask and red eyes. As someone just, I see one of them glaring, and I would see a very particular good weapon. This one basically is, well, it's a unique one that's, I would think, how should I say this? Imagine it being a katana which it looks like, but then said katana basically changes with the sheath and turns into a gun. Or basically, that's what I would think, but in actuality, I just think it just gets, the ability to have, to use dust as a weapon. Reasons why. Basically, the blade is infused with dust, and he has to basically sheath it, and then basically hit a certain switch on the, basically, handle for the dust to activate in the sword. Which I would see it's glowing red, and I'm thinking to myself, crap, dust. This is gonna hurt like a... This is really gonna hurt. I know it. So one of them says, "Hey, aren't you?" And immediately, basically, I crouch down, put my hands on the ground, basically get into, a basically run position. And then, basically, turn, I start to basically think of, how I can get out of here. Without basically causing much damage. With my Grim, technically with my body being enhanced with a Grim plus prototype, because with God Eaters, they become physically humanly strong and fast. So, yeah. When basically they say, "Don't do it, kid," it's not as all of a sudden when I just push myself, because unknown to them, they did not see my legs, but I did. I saw basically, I would say, not black and red. Well, actually, magic has no form, so if it's basically a prototype, then I think it would basically, the magic will basically look in basically, black and red, due to also the Grim, so kind of sort of that, because it's basically going around my legs, meaning it's basically, I'm basically enhancing my speed with it now, and, boom. I just shot right through them, basically pushing them out of my way, basically kicking the one with the dust sword, the sword that can use dust, basically kicked him into the wall, and then proceed to run, basically to the right, as, the ones that basically I pushed out of the way, they were flung into the wall and such, and not hurt badly, just bruised. Ones who got basically steamrolled by me, oof, bad for them. So I do get out, but, yeah, I know cameras got me now, so I jumped over the wall and such, and land, and, run to basically my bag and grab it and just go. While basically I'm running, change basically the jacket back to being the red, and the shirt back to being basically black, but also get, absorb out the mask, as I basically would get back into the city in no time flat. As I just sigh, I'm like, second day here, already causing problems. Great. Well, I should really start working on basically the weapons I got, and make them to my, basically, Pacifics, so I don't really have any money, because I bought the clothes. I should basically try not to use any, ammo. So I should basically not, only use basically a sickle and chain. Just don't use the bullets, and use basically Crow's, basically a prototype weapon. I should really change it, though. I know I do like it basically in sword form, and basically in the scythe form, but, probably would change it. Get rid of the gears, or at least have the gears not showing. But also make it where it's quick, and not basically taking such a long time. Maybe. As if I'm, walking forward and basically kind of, not really thinking much about it. But, I do have to do something real quick. I just kind of realized, since I want to try to create something in this part, I would have to basically use Grim, so I'm going to basically go on to my God Eater 1 game, because I have God Eater 1 and 2. I mean, not 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. And I want to look at basically at least a weapon from God Eater 1 on what I can make with Grim and decide. So yeah, give me a minute, everyone. Okay, so I'm at basically the weapons, basically, crafting, and I found basically what I wanted. So, because of basically the an actual god arc does have basically shields, basically, then it depends on which basically ones that you are. There's also basically, well, because there's two god eaters. There's the regular god eaters, and then there's the ones that basically are the newer ones that basically can switch basically the god arc into basically an actual weapon. But that's in the first game, and since basically the first game I don't have to grab a disc and put it in, into the system and then wait for that to load up, I kind of went with the basically just God of Year 1, because that's where I think basically I should start out with. And I'm basically starting with basically just a regular, basically short sword. Well, I would say short, but don't like the design. So I'll just start with basically the regular, basically knife of, well, not knife, I mean long sword, basically that looks like a knife. But like I said, I'm not making the guard arcs normal. I'm making them basically small, human size. But I'm making the shields basically where if I need to put the shield up, if I need it, it's just gonna be there just in case. It will basically grow in size and basically block said attack. But I do basically have basically the weapon will turn into basically a regular, basically a regular weapon basically. Well, regular basically like gun-like weapon, and I'm trying to. Well, I'm trying to basically figure out which one it would be. Because there's many different types. There's basically just gun, sniper, and the assault one, which, I may just go with the assault. Just like, an assault type of basically one, which is, basically can have different shapes, but so basically this just means basically I can just fire really quickly. Not basically just like a shotgun or blaster or whatever. But yeah. So I kinda got the idea. So as I was saying though, when I get back in the city, I don't have the same body parts of Grimm's to actually make anything. The metals I have. So I need Grimm parts. So yeah, I basically only know one place at I know basically in the forest away from basically Vale, well, in the outer skirts of the city where I'm in, there's there's Grimm's. So, but there's one area where I need to basically go where basically everyone's taking the exams, and I'm thinking they should be done, right? So, I just shrug and I'm like, well, there's no basically opportunity now to try. So, yep, I go to the forest where everyone is testing, and basically I just sigh because I'm knowing to myself, I'm gonna get caught, and I'm gonna get basically someone's pursue on me, and I'm just gonna have to basically fight my way through. So meanwhile, basically on my way there, I proceed to work on basically the weapons that I have. So I changed up basically Yang's prototype gauntlets. So I changed them more basically where the casing for the shotgun shells would go fully around my arm. Well, around my wrist basically. And which basically I do have basically a little bit more basically impact into my knuckles where I'll punch instead of just like, I think with hers, basically she doesn't really have that, but I could be wrong. She's a little bit more bulky. She's able to punch and use the shotgun to basically, make an explosion and such outwards. So yeah, me, I basically have a little more, basically where it's like showing where my knuckles are, and I probably will have some type of, I guess, something thicker near, basically, since I said it went up to the elbow. So I have like basically more metal where it's basically would cover my forearm on both sides. And that would take quite a little bit of the metals I had. With basically with basically the scythe, I really don't have enough material for that. So with the sickle and chain, the chain I basically just add spikes onto it. And with basically the sickle part, I kind of make where basically, I kind of make where it can transform into a gun be quicker. And basically give it more impact on it. But for like for basically the blade part, that would be where it will kind of be like the sight for. The blade basically is a little bit more sharper now, because I did know basically there was like some scraps that were metal that had a little bit more density or basically sharpness to it than others. So I added that to it, and I was just like, well, that's good enough for now. So I look into my scroll after activating it and kind of try to find basically the nearest forest nearby. Because Beacon, basically it's not that far away, just an aircraft away flight to Beacon, and so should be not that far. In which basically when I put up the navigation app, I realize it says welcome to basically the God of Light's navigation app. Basically, know where you need to go at all times. I'm like, huh, okay. So yeah, I basically would just say this: forest where the Beacon students testing is at, and then it'll bring up the forest name and location, and yeah, it would take me about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Not 2 hours, an hour and 30 minutes. If I go at full speed. 2 hours and 30 minutes if I just decide to go half speed. So I sigh and, yeah, I get there. 2 hours, an hour and 30 minutes. By the time I get there, though, Ruby, Yang, Blake, Weiss, John, Pyra, Nora, and Ren are, all basically finishing up their little fight with basically the Grims. The Scorpion Grim and the basically Bird Grim. Night Stalker? Let me just find them real quick. It was a Night Stalker and Nevermore. So, basically the Bird and Scorpion Grims. And, they just took care of it. I'm basically, seeing it, and because I was on a cliff that was not too far or not too close to them, just somewhat there, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's the cat, and I looked over and I saw the Nevermore get killed, and I'm like, but as soon as I see the Nevermore, I start drooling, and I'm basically shaking my head. I'm like, nope, focus, wait, if I technically eat them, I can take what I can get more materials that way, but if I kill them and they drop loot, then I don't get that much. Now I'm in a conundrum, but I do feel my instincts from becoming, grim, also when I see basically people, somewhat, I just realize are, telling me to, kill and, basically destroy everything. I just kind of realized that now. I'm like, wait, was I thinking too much? I never realized my instincts? Oh, crap. So, yay for me. Anyways, because of this, I have to basically only focus on my task. And that's when I basically also realized if I focus on something, I can ignore them. But this is but I am basically feeling a sense of excitement. So, I do have basically the black jacket on, you know, and basically the gray shirt with the mask coming on. And I do move back. And, well, full sprint ahead, jump over the gap, and land in the forest. The only one that would have noticed would have been Ozpin and Glinda, since they would have been using cameras, but Glinda basically had the camera move away and saw someone, at least leaping into the forest. Which she will be like, Ozpin, someone just entered the forest. Which, basically, he will ask, is it near any students? Well, near any of the students. She will say, no. Which he just says to himself, this is interesting. Exactly the same time when I sent a new energy, someone came into this world. How odd. In which, basically, she's like, huh? He goes, oh, nothing. Leave it for now. Let's just continue on with basically the proceedings. So, they would ignore that and move on. With me, I will basically land through basically the trees and stuff. You get hit by a few branches and, I'm about to land until I kind of see a branch where I just hit myself on my stomach, and I'm like, ouch. Okay, next time, use some biomass and basically armor yourself up. So, I would basically slowly fall off of it, and then land on my back, and okay. A little cloud of dust. Yeah, I would get up. So, before I do anything more, I basically, get a call, and I answer, because I only know one person will call me, and I basically will say, yes, God of Light. He goes, well, you're in the forest. Good. And I'm like, yes. So, what is it? He goes like, you have probably realized some things about basically your prototype ability. You get more materials since you basically can deconstruct basically a Grim. And take on the mass of them and keep said parts that you want to yourself. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yes, that's a good thing. So, I want you basically to, at least try to basically get like a rank 1 weapon. Well, make a rank 1 weapon from basically the God Eater basically games. Alright? I'm basically just sigh, like, yeah. That would basically take a Ogre Fane and a Brittle Titanium. If basically I made just a basic rank 1 basically longsword. Yes. Also, about the shields for basically the God Arcs. I'm like, huh? You don't really need it, but I recommend you at least having and upgrading them from time to time. Which basically I'm just saying because I would know he's right. He goes, and basically the guns? He goes, oh yes, they will transform basically into the weapons basically on the size of what you can handle. Like, so let me guess. Short swords or pistols. Or any small type of basically gun, that can handle it. Yes, depends on basically what you go for. I'm like, okay. I do know basically God Eater has some weird looking weapons, so he goes, that is true. But you can change the way you want them. I'm like, okay. Besides, technically you will be able to create your own type of God Arcs anyways. This is just to get you familiar with them. And I'm like, oh. Okay. That makes sense. Just, yes. Now. Basically, I want you to make a longsword that basically will not have basically a sniper, but will have basically an assault weapon. They're like, so like an AK? He goes, yes. Like, okay. and then basically shield. That is for you to decide. So I have to design my own shield. I think I'll just go with the polished buckler? Yeah, the polished buckler. For now, at least. Instead with the common shield. I mean, it's small, and it'll be good, basically, because then I could probably detach it, and it will look normal on my on my wrist. That is true. Good thing you think ahead. I'm like, yeah. So, anything else? I'm like, well, not really. Alright, well, you have the blueprint. I mean, you already have an idea. Now you just have to make the blueprints and such in your mind. And then, basically, after getting some grims, you'll be able to make that. Good luck. As soon as I hear the hang up, I just sigh and be like, I hate Light God. I really hate the Light God. Causing me problems. Yay. So, yeah. So I would go into the forest and look around a bit. It'll probably take me about an hour to find some grims. Reasons why it'll take me an hour. Well, because of the fight and basically of the, Night Stalker and Nevermore basically gone, there were basically some grims that are kind of saying, oh, so basically some of these grims died, instincts telling us to basically to at least stay hidden for a couple of hours or so. So that's what happens. But I do, basically find, I would say after an hour of searching, some Beowulfs. And I would basically sigh and I'm like, okay, so let's try this out. As soon as I hold out my hand, all of a sudden the sickle and chain basically comes into my hand, basically. And, well, I start I grab the chain with my left hand and start twirling it around. And the sickle, I'm holding it with basically my right hand. As then I see more than one, grim, appearing out of the forest. That's Beowulfs. I would say about 10. And I just kind of basically say to myself, okay, so there's 10 of them. I have the superior speed. I should be able to basically at least handle them. Yeah. This should be good. Good practice. So, basically, when one grim run at me, some of them are just curious the reason, why, because, they could sense something, as, the one that's running at me, it basically tries to, swing its basically claw at me. I basically then fling the chain as it wraps around, as I pull it towards me, as when basically I slash at basically the Beowulf, I basically cut right through it. And also the chain also ripped through basically the Beowulf. And I'm like, okay, so chain and basically a little chain and sickle combo. Pretty good. Looks like Ninja Gaiden basically got that right. If you don't know, basically sickle and chain and Ninja Gaiden, one of them at least. Pretty fun weapon to play with in the game. By the way, I don't own basically, names or whatever. So, yeah. So, I look at basically the Beowulf that basically are there. As I walk past, the Beowulf, it basically turns into probably a few claws. After it basically disappears, as I would just smirk underneath my mask. I'm like, what are you waiting for, dogs? Come on! As that's when they all start running at me, as I run after them. Basically, I'm able to basically swing the sickle basically around with the chain, and even basically avoiding all the spikes on it so I don't cut myself. I do see them cutting through them and such, and I'm able to jump around and do basically acrobatic tricks and spin the chain apart, and then the sickle basically around myself and making sure they can't get close to me. in truth, basically, I'm doing it out of, well, I should not be good at it, which I'm not, and I am cutting my own clothing up, but I am also basically dodging, and that's when I kind of get myself by the chain or the sickle, but I do basically, well, stop basically swinging basically the sickle and chain around, and there's only about maybe one left, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm kind of beat up, I'm kind of hungry, so let's see basically this can actually work. Hopefully. And as when the last bear will run at me, I run at it. It basically lunges towards me and try to basically use its claws, basically pin me down and then bite my, neck off. As I basically just I basically absorb out the sickle and chain and throw my fist full power punch. And when I do, oh boy, it basically goes right through the grim as it's just shot, and that's why my eyes are glowing red. I can't ignore basically the instinct anymore, and I then hear basically the mask jaw open up, and yeah, I just basically bite onto its basically arm and rip a chunk off Grim basically as I just, let's start eating it. And that's when basically I felt the Grim basically starts to be absorbed into my body basically. Exactly the same time as that meal was, that basically was finished, and basically I see my mind's eye you could say, or basically I go into my subconscious, and I see basically the Grim basically being absorbed, or basically being deconstructed and absorbed, and I do kind of realize, oh crap, I can get the claws. But I need a lot more basically Beowulfs so I can get the claws then. So yeah. And but I do kind of see it basically leaves the claws, the teeth, the mask there. And then they kind of just float into a section basically where it says materials, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of different. And basically when I get out of my mindscape, I see my basically arms, kind of basically, black and red tendrils basically going around them, and then it stops, and I'm like, well, looks like I have to do something. Alright, everyone, I'm gonna have to basically pause this because of I have my radio, basically set, so. And I'm gonna also let my dad know I'm awake because I have work basically at 6 o'clock, and yeah, so hold on, everyone. Alright, so sorry about that. My alarm did go off. I was able to get my second alarm off. I have trouble waking up, which I was lucky I woke up at 2 something, about 2:03. So yeah, okay, anyway, so basically as I was saying, basically I see basically red and black red and black colored tendrils basically go over my body and then stop, and I would just sigh, and I'm like, alright, time to go more hunting for Grims. Barehanded at least. And I do kind of notice any wounds that I had are gone now. Basically any cuts and stuff are gone. Then I think to myself, oh yeah, regeneration. I have a natural regeneration. Guess now it's activated since I absorbed my first Grim. Maybe took on the biomass of it. But since taking them not a virus, I shouldn't be able to absorb biomass. But, as I would take out the scroll and I kind of look through it, basically, and I only basically have contacts, photos, and basically the explanations. I didn't even notice that there. I just focused on calls and camera. That was it. And map. Nothing else. So explanation goes, greetings. I am the god of light. Basically, you are basically given access to basically a semblance, and technically magic. Depending on which it is, basically, the names will be listed below. And, I will give a brief description of them. Basically, I would see basically semblance, God Eater. Magic, prototype, video game. Which, I'm like, just prototype is fine. Anyways. Well, technically we say prototype slash blacklight virus. But it said, it had quotation marks on virus. Well, blacklight virus. Which I just kind of chuckle at that. So, in a sense, I basically see through God Eater's basically semblance. In a sense, I have all blueprints of God Eater. It basically, since it says it has been in the world for 20 years, it basically, the God of Light has played, video games. And it knew about God Eater, since it was, interested in the lore and everything of it. He played the game, he watched the anime. And so he basically says that since basically all the blueprints are basically in my head, I basically have to, with basically the rankings, I have basically to get a certain number of skill or material to be able to handle those weapons, and a certain amount of strength. So basically, the more I eat, basically Grims, or basically with my prototype, basically magic, prototype blacklight magic, I basically can absorb and, gain even more strength. The recommended strength is basically to train your body, for to handle the physical capabilities of basically said weapons from the basically God Eater, and basically to help, and basically recommend to basically meditate and to find something to relax and to keep yourself calm and collected. So you don't basically go into your baser instincts of Grim, since you are half Grim due to this. Now with basically the prototype. The prototype black light virus. The name is basically, I already know, it's convoluted, because you only asked for the prototype, then you said the video game and I knew of it. But, to be fair, you're not a virus, so that's why I'm saying with quotation marks, basically, virus, blacklight virus, since that's basically what you specifically were talking about. And I kind of knew, since I was seeing it in your mind. Yes, I can look into your mind when I need more confirmation, just in case, if I was wrong. But anyways, here's the thing. Since you are magic itself, you're not a virus, you cannot affect people. But you can do something else. Basically, this is only a rare thing you can do. It has to depend on the person, in a sense. You see, you are immortal through the God, Eater's semblance. And with this prototype magic, you basically are nearly unkillable. Your only weakness is basically dust. And basically your mental fortitude. Due to basically you being part Grim, you have to understand, you are basically in danger of many things, of losing yourself through your own emotions, losing yourself through any mental attacks, and basically getting hurt very badly due to dust. You are getting twice, basically, the dose of basically pain through dust. So you must be careful through this. But if you are wondering basically about the biomass, since that's how you were thinking of the prototype or blacklight virus magic, basically your magic is that. The name blacklight virus is maybe just big quotations, but that's how basically you view it as. That's how you view basically your magic. So, but I have to restrict yourself from getting any basically memories, because you're not basically actually absorbing, said basically person for their memories or anything. It's a complicated scenario you're in. You basically are thinking of it as basically from the video game prototype. But you are not basically actually absorbing someone, you're basically turning them into basically just biomass, and if it's basically a person or Grim or, like tree or metal, that's all you get is the biomass. For metals, and, they basically turn to normal, but they still are basically a part of the, your biomass. You just can use that to create basically them. Because it's basically your magic turns that metal, heating it up with basically it. Which I'm like, wait, so basically my magic heats up the metal and shapes it the way I want. And basically, it depends on basically what you're making. It will take multiple metals and combine them all together, and if you deconstruct it, it basically would do exactly the same thing. It's a complicated scenario, but in truth, though, there are some risks if you basically do not. If you combine metals together, it'll turn it into a whole new metal, though. But it will be mixing it with your Grimm's, basically DNA. It would turn basically the metal into into a non-living Grimm, in a sense. You must be careful, because with that metal, then, if you create a weapon, you would be able to basically have it where it would technically eat someone, which my eyes will widen. So, conclusion. You are able to absorb anything, besides dust. Because that would kill you. Or give you a certain amount of pain. 2. You do not get the memories of a person if basically you basically absorb them. If they just turn to biomass, no, basically, anything in deconstruction, just pure biomass. Helps you to get stronger, because that's the general sense of what basically the prototype / blacklight virus magic is. You absorb, get stronger. And 3. Depends on basically how many Grimms you eat. Say the Beowulfs, you will get the claws from basically, from the prototype games. You'll basically even get basically hammer fists if you basically eat enough Ursuras. And so on and so forth. And you can get even many different types of combinations or many different Grimms out there that you could technically enhance yourself with. Say basically like a Nevermore. You can get the wings and the feathers. And then you can turn those feathers into a weapon. With your God Eater, basically, semblance. There is so much you can do. And basically then I kind of decide, okay, now, okay, so after I, read that, then I go to the God Eater, basically, semblance, and kind of skim through it, and then I see about what the God Eater semblance does, and enhanced strength, naturally. Enhanced speed, all basically your basic capabilities. 2. Gives you a transformation. Depends on the more basically you are enraged or have negative emotions, you can transform. Recommend relaxing and keep some of a positive attitude. Surround yourself with people, if needed. 3. Basically, you can, use your your semblance, to basically make your own basically weapons. I recommend drawing something out and planning it if you actually want it. Just want to make a quick thing. I may actually I may have to basically look onto basically Google or whatever basically sites I can find a specific weapon that I would want to create and kind of give it a name. But I will not take credit for it. I will basically say I don't own the picture, and I would say the person who created it, so I don't get no copyright or whatever or anything. But if it's on Google, then I basically see it as I can use it if it's not copyrighted. As long as I just mention I don't own it or anything. So yeah. So, and basically and I can give it certain properties. To extend, to become basically, all of a sudden it basically can turn into a blade whip. But warning though, if I use dust in it, I would have to make a small concentration of it so it would not harm me. And I'm like, okay. Fourthly, it goes, when you consume a Grimm, at God Arc you would normally use the weapon to consume a Grimm. But with you have to physically eat it. You have to physically eat the Grimm. If you don't have basically a God Arc. Or if you basically are just hungry. In a sense, this kind of works in tandem with with basically the prototype blacklight magic of yours. This in tune will allow you to eat a grim if it's like a regular food, but it also basically you can absorb them, and that still gives you what you need. So hopefully basically this can help. And yeah, that's all basically it says I can do with it, and I'm like, okay. So I can create my own weapons, and I use basically my semblance, and it creates it. But with basically the prototype, I guess I could just make it and store it then. Great. Cool. Oh man, I'm in trouble. Yay. Ugh. So, yeah. So basically, what will happen is this, then I keep on going forward into the area. I do find more beowulfs. Oh yeah, no wait. I don't leave the area that I was at with the beowulfs yet. I would gather all the materials and absorb them, and then basically leave then, and find more beowulfs. Individually, well, probably in packs of 2 and, or just a pack in general. And I think I will find an alpha. Just let me double check if I got that right. Nah, no alpha. Just probably like a beta or something, or just a stronger variant, probably that lived longer. And so I would just smirk after seeing basically this like little pack, and I'm like, well, you guys made it easy. And then I bring out basically my basically gauntlets. Yeah, I just call them my gauntlets now. So I bring them out, and I'm like, let's dance. We have a smirk underneath my mask says, yeah, no, the Beowulfs, the weaker ones are kind of backing away a bit, which I'm always slightly stronger than them, but with the way I'm looking at them, yeah, it's, I'm not gonna, be nice, so, yeah, they just start running at me. I run towards them, and basically, what I found out in the fight, because I'm basically dodging from punches and I'm getting scratched, I really suck at, basically, a whole entire group if I don't have a weapon that actually can help me with a group. So, yeah, I have to basically have, put on, basically, my focus in multiple different grims. So, yay. But, what happens is very simple. Though, when I find out, I see basically the gauntlets a little bit changing, and then all of a sudden when I punch a grim, basically it's strange, because now basically I see claws basically hitting it. And I'm like, wait, claws? Because I saw basically 3 lines going into it and then it dies. But then all of a sudden though, basically the weapon now kind of basically latches onto it. The black and red tendrils, and so it just brings it into my body and absorbs it. When I'm looking at the weapon while basically the grim's being absorbed, yeah, I have Wolverine-like claws, and I'm thinking to myself, did I accidentally give this Wolverine claws? Oh. So, I look back at them, and I kind of swarm them back into my body. I'm like, I'm just gonna rip and tear you all apart with my bare hands, so I have a lot to figure out now. The Grims just snarl at me, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Come on, dogs. So I run towards the Grims, and, ripped and tear them apart, and snapped on a few of them. Some of them got shot, and, when the stronger one came in, I just immediately just grabbed its arms and ripped it off, absorbing them, and then basically punching basically the Grim's chest, all the strength I have, and after fully absorbing it, and well, because I had a lot more spikes on its back, I basically absorb it, and now I basically start to feel my body evolve, basically evolve or mutate, and then all of a sudden, claws. But the only difference is, even though basically with the prototype, game, we basically know with the claws there would be looking like the arms basically have like tendrils going all the way around, basically the forearm all the way to the hand, and basically claws are just basically silver. With this, I do just notice there's basically patches of basically a bone looks like on basically my forearm. Then with the claws, I do notice there's a slight basically white tint to it. Well, not white tint, but some basically whiteness on the edge. And I'm like, huh. Then I slashed through a tree and it basically broke into pieces right away. So, how am I thinking to myself? So I got biomass, got claws, and I should get the hammer fist now. Yeah. So basically, my arms turn back into normal. So along the way, though, I do think for the commotion, I do then basically find some Ursuras. Actually, no, I need to make sure I got that right. Yeah, so these are just regular Ursuras. And I'm kind of like, huh. So then all of a sudden I hold up my hand. I basically try to bring out Crow's weapon. But then, well, I start to basically, though, think of basically the task that the light god gave me. Well, the god of light. So then all of a sudden, though, in my mind, I'm seeing a blade. It has an orange tint and basically a knife, well, a blade basically that has a straight part where basically it's not sharp, curves a bit into a point, then basically goes down to a curve into basically a straight line, and then it basically goes into, goes a little bit basically, how should I say this? Just look up blade P for crafting or something. Basically equipment for basically God Eater weapons. Or just look up a playthrough, and then you can basically see what I'm talking about. But they do have like some edges where it basically looks like something will go there, and then they can like turn it, and then basically make them go flying. So, because this is a long sword, that's how basically it will appear as, but human size instead of big giant size. Basically, and then I basically would have the basically gun to be basically, well, since basically it's a long sword, I basically, if the type it is, I do kind of see it then shaped into basically what I would said basically a rapid fire basically gun, so basically a AK-47. In which basically then basically the shield will pop into place, which is just the polished buckler basically. As I had enough material with all the grim parts and basically my magic, you basically work in tandem with it. It basically gets to where it is, and then I see it, and I look at it to Ursula's, and basically I don't even notice though, but my eyes technically are glowing a bit. I'm starting to get like a red tint to them, and I'm just thinking to myself, two of them, but I have enough biomass, and I'm basically stronger and faster than them. So let's go. And immediately I rushed towards them, no hesitation, one-handed basically the weapon, and, well, one of the Ursulas tried to, start to run at me, but it was too early, not too early, too late, as I slashed at one of its arms, basically then slashed into the other one's arm, and basically immediately had my body basically absorbed with tendrils, hitting both of those Ursula arms. I slashed off and absorbed them, and, turned around immediately, and they look at me, and basically turned it into basically the gun, and since basically the metals I had, basically I used in my body that I absorbed already, and I used basically some of the materials that I got from basically the Beowulfs. Yeah, no, I showed the Ursulas, and the bullets I see, were stronger than basically normal ones, and they basically killed them. So they turned the weapon, shaped the weapon back into what it is and absorbed it. So I go over to Ursula's before basically the bodies, turn into, vaporize and such, and plunge my arms into them and absorb both of them. And so, yay. But what I kind of see, though, when it drops, fur, and I'm like, huh? Basically, it looks like the Ursula's because it's there. I'm like, so I gained Ursula pelt, huh? Well, that's new. It's actually new that basically the Grims even leave anything behind while they die. Huh. Well, I shouldn't really judge. Alright. So, after that, I basically leave. I'll basically go back and do it later, but I have to basically go back and now basically decide on what I'm gonna do. So, after leaving the forest the way I did, exactly the same way, and run up basically like the cliff, I would get back to the city and basically start planning out basically some things I need to do. And the first thing I need to do is, well, choose if I'm gonna try to go to Beacon, which I immediately crossed that out because of me being a Grim. Everyone would try to kill me, and even Ozpin. So, second option, Vigilante. Kill Grims and basically fight basically criminals. Take their money and basically gain some of it so I can buy actual basically bullets and basically learn how to, gain knowledge on this world and such. And I need to explore the city. Great. Just great. Well, it's my second day and it was already productive. Cause some mayhem, basically Signal Academy, kill some Grims, gain 2 new weapons, find out what I can do with basically said weapons already already there and stuff, so yay. Anyway. Sorry, I heard my dog, so I mean my dad was gonna come in and open up my door. So, anyways though. Yep, this technically is the end of the videos anyways. So yeah, as I decide, have a game plan. Put my thumb up, basically to myself, and just say, cause mayhem as much as I can, and basically piss off, basically Torchwick. And hopefully I could basically get the White Fang out, and see basically if there's anyone special in there. I have to get some information. Because I know the White Fang probably did not work with Torchwick. They would never work or stoop so low to work with humans. Maybe. So yeah. So anyways, hope you guys have a nice day, night, wherever you are. And bye everyone.